I'm almost there.
You got an energy drink or something, Joe? What are you gonna?
Yeah. I've got too many voices in my
Essentially.
head. I can't
Can you hear me
can't
now?
take one. Yeah, we hear you great, and I hear me great.
Perfect. We
Very
made it.
nice. Very nice.
Yes.
So I don't butcher it. Okay, good. See?
Hey.
Look at that, Ethan. It's like the first time I didn't butcher. Normally it's pretty bad. Now, where are you at?
Right now I'm in heaven in Cape Town.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay. So have you ended up, we're going to find out tonight, but so is that where your main residence is? Is out of South Africa?
I moved between South Africa, Canada, Colombia, and Israel. So I had a
Wow.
few houses, and because I have businesses all around the globe,
Yeah.
so I move a lot.
Very nice. So your time is what right now? Because
1 a.m.
yeah, I appreciate you joining us. So,
Of course, it's
It
not
looks
a
like it's
problem.
1 a.m. for
Yeah,
I
Joe.
work 20 hours a day.
yes. Well, Ethan's in Australia, and I just got back from Eastern Europe, and so we always are bouncing around with time zones. It's always awful,
Yeah.
and so I'm a bit jet lagged right now because I just got back yesterday. But that's what I was telling you. I was like, yeah, it all depends on the time zone. So we're all over the place today because it's what, morning for Ethan, so it's super early morning for you. And it's nighttime for me. So here within this call, we'll be able to see the sun kind of move around the Earth here. We'll be able to ensure that the Earth is round. So
We can prove
Yeah.
it.
Just to make sure, yes.
one easy test. All right, well, good. Well, let me kick us off. Welcome to the conversation where we unpack the wild, interconnected chaos shaping our world, including the population's decline and all the reasons for it. Your hosts, Joe Edgar and Ethan Krok. And today we are pleased to have our guest, Meir Ezra, who is a self-proclaimed spiritual entrepreneur, expert in human behavior, and philanthropist. Born in Israel and served 6 years in the elite Israeli Navy submarine unit. By age 32, he built a gasoline management system in South Africa and later founded Guaranteed Prosperity, a global business training firm. So really glad to have you with us today, Meir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now,
Nice
we were
to be
just
here.
touching on you're in Cape Town. You're in Cape Town, South Africa today. And how long have you been in Africa? You have a bit of a fascinating story. I want to start at the beginning, but I'm trying to put some pieces here together.
South Africa, I think I arrived here around 98, something like that. And I've been here on and off all those years. I love Cape Town. I love South Africa. It's beautiful. The people are amazing. The weather is unbelievable. The food is even better than the people. So it's beautiful. It's just perfect.
All right. Now, so you have lived there through the apartheid then?
At the end of the apartheid, just the end. I arrived when Mandela was released, more or less, like I think a year or two later he was released. So I didn't see the apartheid.
Gotcha.
It was not read from.
What's South Africa been like? I know they've gone through some questionable times. Recently was in Kenya, and I know a lot of South Africans have started to relocate to Kenya due to some upheavals that are happening in South Africa. So how do you find living there now?
I think South Africa is the best place in Africa for sure. It's extremely modern, and it has a problem with the extremely uneducated population. The blacks are uneducated on purpose. They've been uneducated by the whites or kept uneducated by the whites, and now the ANC keep them uneducated. And there's a lot of corruption, a lot in the government. But that's the bad things. On the other hand, the infrastructure is amazing. The country is rich. The potential is unbelievable. And there are few good men that making things go right. So it depends where you are. So in Cape Town, the ANC is not controlling Cape Town. It's the Democratic Party. So things are really nice. Very, very nice, secure, good infrastructure, really beautiful beautiful, beautiful. But if you go to some other places in South Africa, it's terrible.
Oh, right. So kind of separated by region as far as political
Yeah.
It
control.
sounds like you're explaining
Yes.
most Western countries today.
Yeah, like you just explained. Sounds like Texas.
Yes,
Definitely Australia.
Exactly. Yeah. People, wherever you have people, you will have those problems because it's the people that make the place and not the place that make the people.
You are originally from Israel. What part of Israel did you grow up in?
I was born in the north, in Kiryat Shmona,
Oh, wow.
right at the border. Yes.
Okay, I have not been there. So
Yeah.
that's
it's
right.
in
I
the
say
north with-
I was about to say when I ask people where you're from in Israel, it's not very big. So
Yeah,
you can see almost anywhere. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
right over there, in that part of it. So.
Yeah.
But I
2
have
meter
not.
away.
I have not been to the northern part. So I
Yeah,
spent a lot of
so
time in
it's-
Tel Aviv and then over to Bethlehem, but
Yes.
not north.
So the north of Israel, where I was born I was born in 1963. So it was the time where every night there was a Katyusha, it's small rockets that was
That's right before the
thrown on
Olympics.
Israel, like 60 per night, 70. And at that time, there was no shelters, no nothing. And there was this thing, and there was the other thing that the terrorists would come to houses and would just kill people. Like once per week, there was some kind of a terrorist attack. They would just come to a house or an apartment, kill everyone, and run away or take hostages and try to negotiate something. So it was an interesting time to grow up
That is
in
crazy.
Israel at that time.
I just got back from Ukraine, so I was telling Ethan that when I got there, they, welcomed me in with 600 air attacks. And then when I left, they hit another record with 700 of the Shahed drone and, missile
Yeah.
attacks. So it's definitely, put you on pins and needles, unnerving to say the least. Sirens going off constantly. How big was your family? What did your father do that, had him living in northern Israel?
Oh, so my parents came from Morocco, so they've been sent to Kiryat Shmona as a camp. So they started to live in a camp in a tent, and later, so my father became the policeman over time, and later on, and my mother was a cleaning lady at the municipality, and later on, my father progressed.
So, and this is right at the start of, Israel's existence. And so,
Yeah, that's correct.
in all intents and purposes, these are like refugee camps, they're
Refugee
early
camps, yeah.
settlements, right?
Very early settlements. There was there was nothing like tents, and everything was very poor. And I remember, like for us, there was a period with no food, and like it was tough for the parents, not for me. For me as a child, nothing bothered me. And I didn't even.
It was just
I
your
didn't care.
existence.
Yeah, this like you're born into that. It's like this normal life. And like the problem only if you didn't born into that. So it looks weird. But for me, it's like missiles, I didn't even wake up.
Right.
They would take me, they would take me down from the bed while I was sleeping. And
It
it didn't bother me at all.
It is crazy what kids just get used to, and
Yeah.
it's my
Didn't bother me
reality.
too.
I think
Now, how many siblings
kids
did you
don't
have?
have feelings in general, though. You
West-
could put them in the freezing pool and they think it's fun. So, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. We've been 6 kids,
Oh wow!
3
And we're
brothers, 3 sisters.
yeah, so, nice mix. And you on the younger end or you on the older end?
I'm the first son, so in at that time, or from where my parents come, the girls are not really important. When you have a son, it's really important.
Right.
So,
yes.
so they don't start to
It's-
count the kids before they
If
have
you
a
ask
son.
Ethan, he'd say that's still the case, right? That's
Oh yeah, yes. So yes, I was I had 2 older sisters that basically took care of me. They were at home, and yeah,
And this is why your mother's out cleaning, your dad is policing.
yeah, policeman. And later on, my mother really progressed and my father really progressed. He opened his own business and then he became a very famous rabbi. And my mother became
Oh, wow.
the head accountant of the Israeli government, like the head CPA of the whole. So they really progressed because the whole idea was you have to be educated, you have to be good. Whatever the condition is not important, you need to be excellent.
Wow.
We don't care if the condition is good or not, it's irrelevant.
And what memories do you have of really going from a tent to having a house and, you know, the master plan development of creating a town? I mean, you know, what was that like? And do you recall any of that? I mean,
I loved it because there was building always, and we would sneak at night to the building sites and build things within the buildings. We would build tents, we would build all kind of things because there was a lot of wood and nails and hammers. So as kids, we would sneak in and build stuff, and it was wild. Yeah,
Wow.
there's some very wild stories there.
And clearly, I have quite a few friends now that are actually from both sides, and I know there has been a long history of really. I compare it almost to an apartheid, where there has been a long separation between Palestinian and Israelis. Did you ever have any mixing? I know you were talking about people would come in the night, so it was almost like terrorism. So I imagine there wasn't a lot of mixing, but do you remember there being any type of, I see Palestine? Because you were living close, Golan Heights would be towards the north, right?
Yes. So there was no Palestinian at that time. There was no such thing. Palestinian is at 67, Yasser Arafat established the PLO,
Right.
the Palestinian Liberation Organization. So there was no Palestinians at that time. And there was
Or there were people where there were just no one referred to as the Palestinians, right?
No, they were part of Egypt and Jordan, and Egypt and Jordan was not at the hand of Israel. So they were not, because Jordan, all Palestinians are basically Arabs that used to live in Palestina. Palestina was a name that the mandate, the British mandate gave to this area from the Mediterranean all the way to Iraq of today. So that was Palestine.
Following a Roman conquering, right?
But the name changed before that by the Ottoman. When Ottoman controlled the area, it was not called Palestinian, and then and before that, it was the Roman punished the Jewish, the Judah, and they called and there was a very small enemy that called the Plishtim, and they gave that name to that
name
area.
Has carried on.
Yeah. But for me, I was living with a lot of Arabs in the city, which is Israeli Arab, which we were friends with. I have Arabs that grew with me at the same school.
Gotcha.
Arab kids.
So there was sort of a mixture. You did mingle.
100% mixture. There was no problem with the Arabs or Palestinians. The problem was with the people from Lebanon that were attacking. Lebanon was a problem. Syria was a problem. Egypt was a problem. And Jordan were the enemies. But Arabs was never problems.
Now, was that different pre and post 1967?
Yes, after 67, there was the Palestinian problem was born. So the Palestinians now sitting in those refugee camps, Gaza and the West Bank, and there were started to be attacks from there, and that was a different story. But the Israeli Arabs, up to today, there are 25% of the population in Israel, and you have the Supreme Court judge, and by the way, that threw Olmert to jail, and you have more than 50% of all the pharmacists in Israel are Arabs, and most of the doctors, probably 30% of the doctors are Arabs. So massive population that if you give them money, they will not go to any Arab country,
Right.
because Israel is a democracy and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it is interesting because even in the conflict right now, you don't see Egypt letting anybody in, but you
Of course
also
not.
don't see a lot wanting to live in another Arab country because they probably have more rights and existence in an Israel one state than they might have in another country. So I can see where that plays a role. So
Yeah, the problem is not, I think the problem is not with the Arab. Problem is with the uneducated Arabs. And the uneducated Arabs happen to be in Gaza and in the West Bank. And the West Bank, because the Palestinian tried to overthrow Hussein, the king of Jordan. So you had the Black September where he killed, I don't know how many tens of thousands of Palestinians because they tried to overthrow him. And they were always considered to be the bad Arabs. So no one wants them. Not because they are bad as people, they're just educated. And when you have an uneducated people, they tend to be criminals. It is the same like in South Africa. The blacks that are uneducated are criminals.
see, ours in the U.S. it's different. Our uneducated don't really become criminals. They just get elected as president.
Yeah,
and
they
run the
become
country. So
politicians.
it's a whole different. We have a whole different way of
Or
using it.
journalists.
Yeah.
A lot of uneducated people become
journalists.
journalists.
Yeah. But it's a different kind of criminal on a totally different level, yes. So the uneducated generally will be more open to do crimes that really hurt other people. And then the more white collar criminals generally don't kill and murder and rape. Generally, yes, it's a very big generality. So when you have someone that is actually educated, not having a degree, he will not be a criminal if he actually understands.
Now,
Because knowledge raises responsibility
Well,
automatically.
and
Knowledge automatically raises
less
responsibility.
impulsive with wisdom and knowledge as well. When you can see the outcomes and possible, when you're not educated, you can't really guess what's going to happen by your action.
Yeah, actually the point is that if you don't have knowledge, if you're not educated, you're not controlling the environment. Because I'll give you an example. If I teach you how to drive a car, you will control the car and you'll be responsible for the car. But if you're drinking, if the responsibility goes down, the knowledge immediately goes down and the control goes down. So there is very tight connection between knowledge and control and income. And income, I'm not talking about only money, anything that is good, anything that you want. So if you are educated, you will demonstrate control, so you don't need to be a criminal. You will have the income. But if you're miseducated, it's not that you're not educated. It's not that you don't know. If you know wrong, you will not control the environment. And unintentionally, you will commit sins. Once you started to commit a sin, you will repeat to make the sin right, to make yourself right. So if you are on a diet and you take 1 square of chocolate, the whole chocolate is gone because one sin will lead to another one, will lead to another one, will lead to another one.
I have 3 bags of empty chocolates right now. I can attest to what you're saying. I just had one, but next thing it's like, what just happened?
Before you made all the chocolate.
Before you know, exactly.
Yes. Now, I wouldn't call it a sin by any means, right? So,
Well, what is a sin? A sin is something that you do that don't bring pro-survival result. So if you want to lose weight and you take chocolates and you know that it's not the pro-survival result for you, it will be a sin.
Fair enough.
A sin is
now,
not
were you religious? Were you religious growing up? I assume so. Your father became a policeman and then left that to become a rabbi. So how involved was that in your life?
So it's a very interesting story. So
I assume that means you grew up Orthodox.
No, not at all. I'll tell you what happened. So it was like that. When I was 3 years old, never mind the whole story around it, but I wake up one day and the radio did not work. at home. So I opened the back of the radio and I took a vacuum tube and I went to my father and I said, we need to replace this vacuum tube. He looked at me, it was Saturday, he was half asleep, and he said, how do you know that it is that vacuum tube? And I said, how do you know your name? When you know, you know. He bought, yes, that the whole family says it's story a million times. So he took this vacuum tube, he bought me one, I installed it and it worked. And since then, I started to fix electronics. I just knew electronics from nowhere. I never studied, no one dealt with electronics. I just knew, and I started to fix radios, players, TVs. And by the age of 13, I was building amplifiers, building all kinds of things and selling them. And I made more money than my both parents.
So when you said that it just made sense to you, was it like the engineering of it made sense? Like you could just, it all just...
Yeah. I just knew I would just sit down. By the age of 13, I started to teach electronics, and I didn't go to school. I stopped going to school when I was 8, but I went to exams. Yes, and the agreement was that as long as I get above 95, I'm fine.
They call that homeschooling today. It's called homeschooling today.
Yeah.
No one taught me. I didn't go to school. I just knew. I just picked up the book, read, and I knew it. 5 minutes, I got the idea. But I worked all this time. I started to work as teaching electronics and in an electronic shop, a small electronic shop. And when I was about 14, something like that, I started to go with my father to study the Bible. And I started to argue with the rabbis about really what does it really mean. And I've changed a lot of their minds. And then I went to the Israeli army and so on.
If you start to tell me about how you went to temples and then
we've heard this story
on
before.
The Mount Olive, I'm like, hey, I've heard this story before.
Yeah. Didn't go to temples or anything like that. Just...
So when you were saying that you had discussions with the rabbis, is that because when you read scripture or when you thought about spiritual and religion, did you have the same engineering understanding that you had with electronics? Like, did it just come naturally?
Yeah, they misunderstand it. I asked them, okay, fine. So what does it mean, spirit? Define it.
Because a lot of terms,
and there was a
lot of terms in electronics are the same as in spirituality. For example, like when I'm working with a TV and I get a bad signal, I get a ghost signal, which is an apparition in the image. Yeah. And I see a lot of the terminology is very similar between electronics and religion.
Man, Meir, I've never heard Ethan ever make sense. So something's going on here.
He's speaking my
language. We're having a major breakthrough.
We understand each other. Yes, so I started to ask them, what does it mean? I want to define it, and they gave me synonyms. And I said, no, synonym is not a definition, and they couldn't give me a definition. Give me a definition of the mind. Give me a definition of sin. Don't give me an example of sin. I want a definition of a sin. What's happened after you commit a sin? Why is it a problem? What is a problem? And this kind of questions from a 14 years old is a problem for those rabbis, because they consider that the longer the beard is, the more brain they have, but it's not always connected.
Does the brain get smarter with white hairs as well, or
is that what Ethan's shooting for? Ethan's shooting for. It's a statement of wisdom and knowledge. That's what he's trying
to do.
So at 14, you were recognizing that you wanted to know for yourself and understand what was even, can I say, religion or spirituality for you?
Yeah.
That obviously played a role in your life. How did that? What did you do with that at 14? Living in northern Israel, your father was he a rabbi at this time at 14?
Yeah, he became a rabbi, yes. Gotcha. So at that time I started I had two lives. One life of electronics, very, very physical, very rigid. You cannot move a millimeter. That's how it works. And that's it. And on the other hand, there is this thing of a religion, the spirit? What is knowing? Do you actually know, or is knowledge important? Like, why people read the same Bible and have 40 different viewpoints? Like, 10 people have 40 different viewpoints on the same sentence.
Same word.
At least 39 of them is wrong. So I started to have these two lives, and then over time I progressed, and they every time they couldn't answer, they said, "Well, you need to understand that." Okay, fine. What do I need to understand? Kabbalah. Okay, so Kabbalah, but you need to be 40 years old. Why do I need to be 40 years old to learn Kabbalah? Show me now, and I'll show you that you don't understand it if you think that I need to be 40 years old. It's not the age of the body. You just told me that the spirit is what's important, and now you're telling me that the body defines what I can experience or not. And eventually I got them to sit with me on the Kabbalah, and there was the real Jews, and they don't know. It's just they don't know.
So is this part of what sparked you to leave Israel and travel the world and see other places?
Yeah.
Or because you left, I think, at age 19 for the first time?
No, I left Israel after the army. I was in the army for 6 years. So from
right.
18, yes.
You were in the submarine, right? You were down under. He was with you, Ethan.
I was doing electronic countermeasures and special operations. And I got to the highest level that you can gather. And then after the army, I decided to just go and travel in the forest for a year. I traveled in the Far East, climbed the Himalaya.
In the Far East.
Okay.
Okay.
Not forest.
Right.
Yeah, climbed the Himalayas.
I was like, you just went in the forest?
I thought that was a mushroom trip,
the-
maybe. Mushrooms or...
Moses walks out for 40 years again? It's like...
So after a year, the money finished. And then because I was not worthy. And then someone told me I wanted to do $6,000 because I wanted to travel another year. And it cost $6,000 per year at that time. And I was living on $2 per day, 2 to 4, something like that.
Wow.
So I wanted to do $6,000. Someone told me that there's a guy in South Africa that's looking for a programmer. And I said, programmer? Okay, I never programmed a PC. I never saw a PC in my life. I called the guy and he said, look, I want to write a program in man. Can you do that? I said, of course I can. So I said, okay, fine, come to South Africa. We agreed there on a salary. And I said, good, I will come to South Africa. So I fly to South Africa in between. I bought a book and I started to read on programming.
Programming for dummies.
Yes, exactly. I got there, he showed me the PC, like it was an XT, something really, really old. And he told me what he wants to do. And I said, okay, fine. So I started to write the program, and I realized that writing this program, I will have to stay and maintain it. So I decided to write for him program
Job
that
security.
I decided to release myself by writing a program that writing programs, and I would teach him how he can maintain it without me.
Oh, the first AI.
This thing, something more like if you know Access. It was something like Access, but way before Windows 3.1. I was talking about DOS, Clipper. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
So I wrote something. And it became very successful. People will take the disk and copy and use it. And my thing was that if it helps you, pay me, and if not, it's fine. And people passed the disk, and it was like a year, and I was making some money, but nothing yet. I didn't save $6,000. That was maybe $2,000 or something like that. And I was trying to save $6,000. One day, I'm in a very small office, like basement of like small, very small. You need, in order to go into my desk, I need to go sideways, like very small, and with this XT.
Was this on the submarine
computer
still?
working? Yeah, exactly. Working, and like I'm going to the office very early in the morning, and like 8 o'clock in the morning, two guys knock on the door, black suits, and look very official. And I was sure this is the IRS.
The
South
IRS.
Africa.
That's
Yeah, like the South African IRS, SARS.
They're gonna pull out a little flashy thing.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm selling everything was black, like everything was cash. I didn't report anything. I mean, I didn't know anything. I just was writing software.
And they were coming for your $2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like for me, it was like I was hiding it so much, and I was so worried. And they came in, and I just froze, and they started to ask me questions, and I started to answer, and I was like, really like, whoa, big problem. I know I've made already $2,000, and I didn't report the tax. And in my head, it was like a big, big problem. And after about an hour, I realized that they're not the taxman. And I realized that they actually came and they want to buy the software. They want to buy the company. They want to buy the code.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they were from a very, very big company in South Africa.
Private equity in South Africa apparently comes with a suit and pinstripes.
Yes, like it was.
They were actually there to help you pay the taxes. They were there to help you pay.
Exactly. So we talking, it was I started to understand, and they said, okay, so we want to buy the rights, and we want you to work for us for at least 3 months, and we're willing to pay you very well. And I said, how much? And I thought maybe $10,000, maybe $5,000. I was ready to sell, yes, because I needed 6. And they said $100,000. Now, $100,000 is like, if you tell me right now, $10 billion. Exactly the same.
Right.
For me, it was the biggest number that I couldn't even think about this number. I didn't know how many zeros there are, but I knew it's a lot of money. And so they came in at about 8 a.m. By 5, we had a memorandum of understanding signed. The next day, they came up with the agreements. We signed, they delivered the money. I stayed, I worked. And this program was very, very successful for them, very successful in South Africa. And I went back to South Africa to the Far East, but now I'm with $100,000, not $2.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did the money come?
Different.
Yeah, big time.
Did the money come in a briefcase? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, right. Saran wrapped bricks of cash. He's still got the same problem. Now it's 2,000. Now he's like, how can I hide 100,000?
Yeah, 100,000. So I've been there for.
So you weren't living off of $2 a day anymore.
No, not anymore. So I've been there for 1 month, and I said, no, that's not for me. So I went to Israel, and on the way back to South Africa, someone told me that in South Africa there's a mass problem, which I knew it's correct, of fuel fraud. Drivers of truck stealing fuel.
Oh.
So I and they told me that there's the 2 companies that was in South Africa. One stopped working, and another one just went bankrupt. That tried to solve this problem and lost a lot of money, like $7 million. And there's no solution for that. And I said, I can solve it. I came back to South Africa. I went to BP. Now you have to imagine, I was with a very long hair, curly hair, earrings, like, just some of that come from
a typical programmer back in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yes, like really, really like dirty, torn jeans, like really bad. I got to BP, and I talked to the head of BP. Somehow I got to, never mind how. And to cut a long story short, 3 months later, I signed with them $100 million deal.
Wow.
To solve that. I solved that problem. And then that, of course, became more and more and more. And I opened software companies. And now I have real estate. And I lend money all over the world.
Now, your families, most of them stayed in Israel? Or did they venture out as well?
Some came with me, some came to me, not with me, to me. So my sister and my brother came to me to work with me. And then one sister is in a kibbutz, so she's in a kibbutz. And another sister was married and children, so she couldn't move. She stayed there. and then another brother had some die by something. So
Gotcha.
he was doing this Ironman, and after the Ironman, he had a heart attack.
Wow.
Oh
So,
my goodness. Wow.
yes. So yeah, that's
The
that's
irony of the Iron Man.
yeah, the irony of the Ironman. Yeah, yes.
Wow.
So I started to make money, and then at one point, people started to ask me to help them with building businesses, and then I said, okay, I was helping to friends and whatever. And
What's
there was
the
this-
number one tip? Is it to avoid showing your taxes? Just keep it in.
Yeah,
and it's-
exactly.
Eventually, some guys in suits will show up and like
Show
wave
up
the
and they-
wand.
Yeah. So I started to teach all kind of people on how to do that. And then at one point, someone came to me and said, look, I want to be a keynote speaker at this place that called CEO Space. And I don't want to. And I said, please, we need you. We want you. And so I went there. It was extremely successful. And that became bigger and bigger and bigger. So now more or less, I don't know, 10, 15% of my time I invest in one company that I have that called Guaranteed Prosperity, which I create content and sell knowledge and sometimes do coaching. And the content is sold through seminars that I do twice per year and webinars that I do every week. And it gets sold for the webinar, for the live webinars. And after that, there's recordings. And
Now I peeked into those a little bit, and you're gonna have to help connect us. How did you go from? Because there's a lot of money you made in between there, but how did you go from this hippie looking, long haired, earring pierced guy to ultimately helping other people? Spirituality seems to be a word that's used a lot that I found where you were. Do you find yourself? The Pew Institute did a bunch of research around this, and in the U.S., we find that for the first time, Christianity or faith in general is starting to slowly increase. And so people in the U.S. are, I wouldn't say they're becoming more religious, but at least it's hit the plateau where we're not or it's the decline of religion is not is going
They're
as
buying
fast.
Bibles again.
Where
They're buying Bibles again.
yeah, exactly. Not the buy it all Trump's Bible, so
Yeah.
it's keeping him afloat. How did religion make its way back into your life, or was spirituality always there and you just had it in a different way? How did this fit back in? How does spirituality, which is now resonating from your
So let's
current
define the
efforts.
spirit. Let's define the spirit, because otherwise we say how Chaka Chuka came back to your life if we don't have a definition. Yes.
I like
Because
it.
what
So please
is spirituality?
define that for
Yes.
us. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So, what do you think is the smallest number in the universe?
This sounds like a physics
Yeah.
question, but
I'm guessing it's
I'm
under
wanting to say
100.
42. Is
It's
it
got to be less than
42?
100.
Is it
Yeah,
42?
I think you're right, Joe. It's got to be about that.
Yeah.
The number is actually, if you observe, you will see that the number is 2. Because
2.
everything in this universe, in order to exist, must have plus and minus. For every force, there is counter force. The 7 mean nothing if you don't have 8 or 6 next to it. It's nothing actually physical that don't compose of 2. The atom is composed of electron and proton. Nothing. For every good, there is
Dark and
bad.
light.
For every ugly, there is beautiful. For every
Calling it the universe, but yeah, gotcha.
yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, the word universe only means a set of laws that people agree, that everyone agree to. That's all a universe means, just a set of laws. And the set of laws of the physical universe, that it is composed of 2. So 2, you can say that something is anything that composed of 2. Okay, so the physical universe is simply this place that adhere to the law that everything has to compose of plus and minus. Okay? So if everything is composed of 2, it means that the beginning was started from 2, not from 0, not from 1. Yes? And what created the 2 cannot be 2. So what
Totally not
created the
following, but
iPhone?
sure.
Okay, let's
the big,
have a look.
the Big Bang of two is.
No, it's really simple. If you look at that,
Gotcha.
you see that it's really quite simple, because the beginning, the word beginning mean, or the start mean, was not here before. The beginning of our interview, the interview was not here before. Yes. So if everything is composed of two, then it means that the beginning there was two particles somewhere at the beginning. The first thing is 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 64, etc.
So what you're saying,
But
Meir,
it
is
means-
like basically, so one only exists because there was an absence of one. So that makes 1, 2.
There was never one.
Okay.
So
There was
really, if
never
you're,
one physically.
I assume this
What
means if you have a body, you also have a spirit. Is that?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll define it. Okay. So what I'm saying is that
We're trying to skip this and just be there for the
We want
test.
the
I thought we
answers.
just
We
had
want
to
the
take the
answers.
test at the end.
Yes. So the physical universe composed of two, and what created the physical universe is these things that do not compose of two. And if we can say that something is anything that composed of two, then nothing will be anything that's not composed of two. We don't know of how many, but it's not composed of two. So if you look at the Bible, if you are religious, you will see that God said that he brings something out of nothing. Or in Hebrew, yesh me'ayin, yes? And you will see that the only thing that actually is creation is something out of nothing. Otherwise, you just change. So when I realized that I know electronics, I realized that I'm not my body, because my body cannot remember it. It's a new body. So there is something else that knows. So I say that the spirit is this thing that knows. It does not have a wavelength. It does not have a location. It does not have a mass. It does not adhere to the physical universe rules, because it creates the physical universe. So you put up an idea, and this idea manifests into a physical universe thing. So the idea is a nothingness that comes to somethingness. And if you look at anything physical, it used to be an idea. Anything physical used to be an idea. Someone had the idea of this pen. Someone had the idea of this screen. Someone had the idea before it could become a physical thing.
So the physical world is a manifestation of spiritual ideas.
I think that's
100%.
what it says in Genesis, something like that.
No, it says
It
it's
doesn't
a
say
baseball
that,
game.
but
It
in
says in the
Genesis-
beginning,
that
he was a
doesn't
pitcher.
it say,
It's for the
I
Yankees.
remember it says something about everything was formed in the spirit or in the womb before it was, in the world.
No.
So
It
isn't that the
says,
same thing?
Yes, it says in Hebrew, it says yesh me'ayin, that God created something out of nothing. That's what it says. And it's correct. But the nothing is this thing that is the spirit. And the spirit has the ability to bring about things. When the spirit deteriorates, it starts to believe that it is the body, it is physical. So when you start to believe that you are the body, then you obey the body. And if you know that you are not the body, but the body is your car, is your vehicle, is yours. It's my body, my mind. Who is the mind? Belong to who? Belong to me, the spirit. So the moment that you realize that you are not your body, the moment that you realize that the physical universe is shaped by your view, and that's why my yellow is not your yellow, the moment that you realize that, you realize that it's regardless of how long is your hair and how many earrings you have and if the jeans is cut or not, you can create something out of nothing. Because I didn't have money, I had $100,000. And from this $100,000, I created, no time, 100 million US dollars. It was not the money that did it. It was the idea that I decided, I know how to solve this problem. And I managed to create this thing for other people mind. So I said that clever, I define clever as the ability to recognize truth. And a genius is a person that can create new truth for other people to follow.
So as you realized you could believe in something and ultimately have an idea and turn it into a reality, did that fit in with some of the Jewish faith that your father was subscribed to? Or did you find yourself, this is a reality that had come to you and you had recognized it and it made so much sense and you were able to really help define your own destiny? Or did that kind of contrast with, say, the religious side of your upbringing?
It's a combination. So I say that everything that's written in the Bible is correct, but people don't understand it because when it says at the beginning there was the Word. What people don't understand, that what it means is that at the beginning, before you do anything, you need to understand the word. Otherwise, you will not understand the sentence, and otherwise, you will not understand the idea. Not guess what is the word, not assume, but actually have conceptual knowingness of what that word means. And only if you achieve that will you have total agreement. And since people don't understand the word, you have one Bible, and in 40 different Jewish religions.
Yes.
Yeah, there's fractions.
It's true, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it cannot. God was not confused.
Torah, the
If
Old
there was
Testament, the King James Version.
There's like endless.
We have a very new hip one, I think, here where it could do it in rhymes. So yeah, there's all kinds of versions.
And I think like most things, like even politics, it's everyone's looking at the same thing and it's semantics. Like they're looking at the same thing and calling it different names, and so they're arguing about what the name they're using is.
Yeah, but they don't they don't define it. If we were talking and we wouldn't define the word spirit, how can you be? What is spirituality then? If you don't know what spirituality.
So this reminds me of the two worlds you were talking about, because one is purely engineering, where there's no miscommunication. It's either black or white or red wire. It's either on or off. There's no misinterpreting what the meaning of the word is, and then you're going into religion where everything is semantic.
Yeah, and even in engineering, actually black and white only as long as you define the word. Because if I tell you a frequency, and you'll see that most engineers cannot define it. They cannot define the word frequency. Simple word. I'm not going to talk about noise. I'm not going to talk about amplitudes. I'm not going to talk about anything more complex, like the most basic. What is resistance? What is energy? You have all of those people that says that they are spiritual and they deal with energy. Energy exists only in the physical universe. How can you be spiritual and deal with energy? It's nonsense. It's like oxymoron. But they don't understand the word energy. If I ask, and I did, what's the difference between energy, force, power, and potential? Never mind anything else. They cannot define it. And so they just heard, they are parrots. They heard energy, it sounds good. It's also impressive because no one understands it. So we can use it. So it's wonderful because no one understands it. So they use the word spirit or spirituality or the mind, but define for me the mind. Show me where is the mind.
Well, let me give us an example of where different groups' idea differs in how it comes to reality. For example, we have a ceasefire right now in Israel and in Gaza, I really should say. So in this ceasefire, there's quite a few things happening. How do you see the ceasefire playing out right now? This is the 5th since 2023. There have been other attempts to try to play this out. It really seems in part of this is when the attack in Qatar happened, that this just happens to be the same government that gave Trump a $400 million plane. So all of a sudden, this is something he really wants to get done, where there was less pressure to get things done, say, earlier on. But at the same time, you see some things happening. Hamas is now in Gaza, and during the ceasefire, you're already seeing evidence where they are seizing control again. So Hamas is taking control of Gaza, and they are doing retribution killing, or at least there's reported that they're doing retribution killing for anyone who collaborated with the Israeli army. And so all of a sudden, it's creating more disruption. In fact, just about 2 hours before we're recording this, Trump sent out a tweet that says, "Stop it, or we're going to have to go in and kill you more." And so literally, our president is threatening to end the ceasefire and bomb more. I would love to hear your take, having a home in Israel, being from there. Like, how do you see the ceasefire right now and some of this sort of playing out here in the next couple of weeks?
Okay, so let's start with the October 7th. Okay, if I was the president or the prime minister, I would say the following. I'm not negotiating with terrorists.
And this means of Netanyahu
Yes,
in his
Netanyahu.
position. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not negotiating with terrorists. All the people that you kidnap, for me, are just dead. Now, here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you. What I'm going to do is the following. I'm waiting every week that you don't return the people that you kidnap. I am taking 1 kilometer from Gaza.
Yes.
Simple. I'm just taking it. and I'm taking all the people away. Anyone that wants to stay there will die. But 1 kilometer is gone, like all across Gaza, 1 kilometer. Now we have more or less 40 kilometers to play with. You've got 40 weeks. Now, every kidnapper that died, we have in the jail a lot of people that has been sentenced to life. We will change, by law, we'll change the law, and we'll change the law to execute for everyone 1,000. Like when you return the kidnappers, we give you 1,000. This is the value. So for everyone, we're going to execute 1,000. Nothing, do nothing. Sit down and wait. Do nothing. Just, I take 1 more kilometer and 1 more kilometer and 1 more kilometer, and I'll give you food and I'll give you everything you want. You can have everything you want. I don't fight you. I just take land. And I take land there, and instead of you pushing me from the river to the sea, I will push you to the sea. Let's see how. Let's give you this experience.
Like from the city
let's
to
give
the
you that
sea
experience.
policy.
Yes, yeah. Let's give you that experience. You want from the river to the sea? I'll give you that experience, and I promise you, within 3, 4, 5 weeks, there would be ceasefire. And why? In order to have an art ethics situation in a group, the group have to agree to the art ethics. In order to have people that kill in a group, so why people don't kill in a normal civilization? Because the group do not agree with killing. If anyone kills, everyone is out to get that person, and the group push that person away into jail. It's not accepted. But if the group start to say, no, marijuana is okay, let's smoke weed, everyone is okay, so everyone smoke weed, if it's legal, it's not legal, it's not a problem. If the group agree, it will become legal very soon, because the group agreed. So if
Democracy.
Hamas,
Or morality.
if Hamas,
Ethan's
So
always
if
seen that
Hamas-
reference to weed.
if
But if Hamas
Hamas
were to agree,
if Hamas do what they do, it's because the group agree. And the purpose of war is
so just to
only-
touch on that and make sure we get that. So you really feel Hamas is representing what the
100%.
overall Palestinian group
100%.
wants. It's not to put contrast. That is, there are a lot who say there's Abbas and there's Hamas and there's two political parties, if you will, but and there's influence that Hamas is taking control. But really, you're saying Hamas represents the overall.
Not the overall, the Gaza.
Yep,
The West Bank is something else. They're not as extreme. They're not the same. They're not with the same kind of viewpoints, and they have different kind of life there. So Hamas represent the people from Gaza, and the purpose of war is to bring your opponent to a more amendable frame of mind, That's the purpose of war. America brought Japan to a more amendable frame of mind after the Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yep.
And that's the purpose. And you don't need to use a lot of force if you're intelligent. But when bad things happen, people become very unlogical. And they want to explain to the other person why what is done is not good by doing the same thing. So if I don't want you to shout at me, I will shout at you to explain to you that shouting is not a problem. Yeah.
Now,
So
some of your plan that you proposed, some of that actually did play into it. Israel's proposing a no two-party state, even though UN's pushing for it. They're saying no two-party state. So they, in turn, have basically said, we're going to keep the entire thing of Gaza.
no, but I'm not saying no two-party state. I'm saying take two-party, two-state solution with the pleasure as you want it. But first of all, return the hostages. And until then, your state becomes smaller and smaller and smaller.
Mm.
And then once you do accept Hamas, you cannot stay in power before you disarm. And because you prove that you are not trusted. Israel went out of Gaza in 2005, gave you everything, and this is what you've done. So you prove that you cannot be trusted. So no more. And I'll give you, and I'll help you, and I'll give you money, and I will build Gaza again. I'll give you the money to build Gaza. I'll give you everything, whatever you want, anything you want, but not weapon. Now, if you're not planning to fight with us or with Egypt, you don't need a weapon.
Right.
Yes.
Now,
So
that's
if
part
you-
of the phase one. Do you think that'll come about? Because the phase one is de-arming, so Hamas has to hand over all the guns.
It's actually
And
phase two. The arming is phase two, yeah. But
Yeah. And
yes,
trading of a prisoner swap for
It's been done.
hostages. Yep, has been done now.
it's been done already. So now they need to give up the weapon, etc. But what's written there is very ambiguous. It's not specific.
Right.
And I think that right now, if I will take the situation right now, I would say the same thing. Look, this is the agreement. Now you have time to keep the agreement. We're not going to fight you. We're not going in. You can build as many tunnels as you want, and you can do whatever you want. But if you don't disarm yourself, number one, no money to rebuild Gaza. Number two, I'll give you all the food and the electricity and the water that you want, all as much as you want, but I will take land that will not be returned, and this will be by an international decision. If you don't keep the agreement, your land is going, and in parallel, I will assassinate all the leaders of the Hamas wherever they are on the globe. If you're happy about it or not, I don't care. I'm going to do exactly what Israel done after the Olympic assassination. Find each person that somehow was connected, and they're going to die.
Which
And
in part seems to be the policy right now. That was what happened in Qatar. So
That's the policy, and it's a correct policy.
So let's go through two ways. Let's say everything works out the way they want it. So let's say
Wonderful.
Hamas de-arms, which I think we know that's not going to happen. But let's say they
But
de-arm.
let's say that you do. Yes.
Let's say they do. How do you think rebuilding? It's the middle. It's winter is about to start. We have 600,000 people, essentially homes that they're going to need to live in tents or something for a short time. There's, the world we love this rebuilding. It's a popular thing, and I can only see my own vision. Like soon we're going to have 3 Trump Towers and a big casino, and Gaza's going to be the next Vegas. How do you see some of this playing out as far as rebuilding going?
Very simple. The plan should be very simple. First of all, what we do is like when Israel was established, you put temporary housing to everyone. And temporary housing is temporary, anything from tents to whatever. And now before we're starting to rebuild anything, we re-educate the people.
So this
like
is
in
schools?
Israel. Schools, yes. Like in Israel, before Israel got
They
built,
call them concentration
it was
camps,
15
don't they?
years.
I was gonna say, what are we? Where are we?
No,
Re-education centers in China. They
no.
have some.
What I mean, re-education is to get these people and to get them the ability to, instead of learning how to kill Jewish people, to learn the basic reading, writing, mathematics. Build a university, open the university in Israel to any Palestinian, anyone that wants to come and learn in Israel. Automatically, you cannot be refused. You get the ability to learn, because once you learn, once the person gets educated, he will want to build. But if he was uneducated and hungry, he needs an enemy.
Let's jump in there, because I've now traveled to Ukraine over the last 10 years. And I would say, in intents and purposes of the secular world, I'm very educated. I don't know how many degrees I have. However, I have now a very strong animosity, hate, I would almost say, for Russians.
That's called programming, not education.
That very well could be. That's very well could be.
It's a different kind of war. It's a different kind of war. Why? In Israel, the war is a religious war. What the Hamas doing is a religious war. It's a war on ideology. In Ukraine, it's a war of power and land. Putin wants power.
Yes,
he wants to rape. Yeah, he wants to rape Ukraine. That's all.
But I would almost think if it was religious, it would be even harder. So what are some ways that can the Palestinians in Gaza and Israelis, is it possible for these groups to ultimately work together and be friends? 100%. Even saying, let's start with the basic education. But is this something that...
100%.
Please.
Like, look what happened with the Arabs, the Israeli Arabs. After the war, the 48, there was massive hatred between the Arabs and the Jews. And massive, like after 48, because they were being relocated, 500,000 Arabs being relocated, pushed out of their homes. There was massive hatred. And what happened is Israel created a law that says that everyone, Israelis and Arabs, have to be educated. You cannot not go to school. If you not go to school, your parents go to jail. Very simple. And you have to get a certain level, average of number of people. So if you have in the school 300 people, 80% at least must pass the standard, which means you can...
In Israel, even conscription, I've really been admired by conscription, because you're a young person. And so it really forces you to become mature and have to take on an education. I think I have two of my own children. I wish I could sign them up, send them to military school, because I'm like, man, this would have changed your life and given you direction when you're so young, where you turn off in those directions. And so I have found there's a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm in the startup community with lots of venture, and you see a lot of great startups come out of places like Israel, where you see young people being forced to grow up very early and to do something with their life. So I do find that very encouraging. And I think you sound like you're very positive about being able to have a ceasefire. But let's take this on the other direction. Now let's say what we probably think is going to be reality. Hamas does not de-arm.
Not a problem. It's really simple.
And they've already bombed, I think it's like 26, where Israel started bombing basically southern Lebanon and Hezbollah. And so that's already started today. So that's not part of the ceasefire. So that's really going after Iran and some of their influence. So really just back to Gaza. How do we see that play out if the ceasefire doesn't happen?
So what's happened in Lebanon, just as a side note, is something that has been never stopped
since
the war. Israel, Israel, since the ceasefire in Lebanon, Israel, part of the ceasefire agreement was that Hezbollah will not rebuild its infrastructure, and every time they try to rebuild the infrastructure, Israel destroyed, and it's just whatever.
Ongoing, constantly.
Yes, ongoing. So with the Gaza, what I would do, I will really just make it very clear that if you will continue in that way, you will lose more and more and more space, and eventually you will stay in a very small area, and that you will have full control over with a lot of weapon if you want. But it's a very small area, extremely, extremely small area, and we are not going to give it to you back. And anything that you will do, you will kill 10 citizens, we will kill 100. You will send one missile to a city, even if Iron Dome remove it, we would send a similar missile to your city. You don't have Iron Dome, it's your problem. Like eye for an eye, like very simple. And if you will actually do that, then it's very simple. You send one missile, I'll send one. You kill one Jewish person, I'll kill one of yours, or 10 or 100. But during the process, I take land, and the land will be taken not by Israel. The UN have to say, the US have to say, you lost that land by your aggression.
Now, the UN has come out and they're really pushing for a two-party state. They're kind of taking a different stance. There's been quite a few protests happening against Netanyahu in Israel, starting to feel like Netanyahu has really been somewhat gone too far and to be extreme. This ceasefire, it seems to help him in a sense that it allows him more time. And he has been one, as a prime minister, who's continuously getting more time. Right when things get very heated, he lands some new deal that's like, okay, we got to keep men to do this. So this ceasefire kind of helps him stay in power a while, because everyone's like, okay, we got the ceasefire, now let's see where this goes. There's a balancing act in there.
Let's clear a few things. The reason people don't like Netanyahu are two reasons. Number one, because he wants to change the judicial system. It's number one. That's where it started. And
let's be clear, he wants to make it so the Supreme Court, similar to the U.S., the Supreme Court is not a separate branch. It actually falls under the Congress. So that's what he's trying to change there.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. And second, because he didn't come and say, I'm responsible for 7 October. And he's not willing even to investigate what happened. So this is why people are against him. And because he's lying a lot. And
there's that minor thing where we seem to have a president who has a problem with the truth himself. So
yeah, but I think it's the moment that you become a politician, it's somehow changing with your mouth. The moment that the mouth changes,
if you're talking, you're lying, right?
Exactly. Truth does not align with politics.
Politicians.
Truth does not align.
Yes, it doesn't work together. They somehow.
Right.
So this is why people are against Netanyahu in Israel. Yes, internally.
Yep.
And I think it's not really important if Netanyahu in power or not. I think that if people will be logical, the logical solution is the international community should say, look, Palestinian, you have a country. We want to give you a country, because what are we going to do with you? We want to give you a country, but country without weapons, without an ability to go into Israel and to wipe Israel. Why? Because your covenant say that your purpose is to wipe Israel. This is the covenant of the Hamas. That's what it said. So first of all, change it, change the education, and of course, have all this area and do whatever you want with that, and we will help you. We will undertake. We will have to, by international law, we will sign agreements with the whole world that says, we have to help you, and the U.S. have to help you, and whatever Israel gets as aid from Israel, some of it must go to the Palestinians, and we will help you to rebuild. But you have to change the education. It cannot be that you pay the people that kill Israelis. They have this pay to... It cannot be. Like, it's impossible. All of those things has to go away. You need to become a normal neighbor. And
so let's jump into infrastructure. So really it would be, all right, we now have to rebuild. They're most likely armed, but chances are Israel troops are actually going to be on the ground. And so they're going to basically be policing this land for new construction.
No, it's not the plan. The plan
I
is
know
that
it's
there will be
no,
national,
exactly.
international control by Arabs. Yes, not even
Yep.
the U.S. So the
That-
Arab
Right.
countries.
That's the current plan, but I just mean if they're not going to de-arm,
If
then
not,
chances are it's not going to happen, and it's going to be Israel who ends up planning. And part of that is because the world loves nation building. There's a lot of money to be had here, and Gaza's a gorgeous area. So this could be something where Israel basically has troops. They say, let's demolish and rebuild this whole thing, and we can now control from the south going up, and we can just shrink the land. And basically they are taking land, but they're just rebuilding it, and then they'll control who can move back in. How would the infrastructure be in there? Do you think, one, the U.S. has a lot of interest. Trump has 3 more years, so I guarantee there's going to be a lot of American money that is just itching to start building over there. You have a lot of UAE money very interested in doing something in Gaza. None of the Arab countries want to take the Palestinians, but they definitely want to put money into the Gaza Strip and a lot of investment. So how would we balance? Because it could be one of those where you skip the people and they aren't educated and they end up becoming a third world resident in what was their own neighborhood. So how do we balance that infrastructure and ensuring that there is an education system, that they are part of this redevelopment? Because that's going to be hard in the world of nation building. All these countries want to come in and build fast, but if really it's Israel that is controlling it, okay, all right.
It will not work. There's no situation where the Palestinians, without having really an understanding, really being educated in just the basics of life, raising the ability to have, they cannot have good life right now. So we need to give them this ability to have good life, and it starts with education, because if you don't understand, anyone can lead you and program you the way that he wants. But if you actually understand, you can make your own decision. So before you build any building, you have to get to an agreement by force. You need to use force and intelligence, 50% force, 50% intelligence, to get the people to realize that the only future that they have for their kids and for themselves is by being educated, and show them that they can have. Don't give them for nothing, because if you come to someone and you just give him, you make him a criminal. Because a criminal is someone that take without giving back. And if you give without...
It's kind of like, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, and you feed him for life. Is that the...
No, it's a little bit different. What I'm talking about, I think that this is also incorrect. Don't give him a fish. Don't give him a fish, and don't give him a fishing rod, because in both cases he's ineffective and useless. But teach him how to learn. Teach him how to learn, and he can decide what he wants to do. He doesn't have to be a fisherman because you said so. So you have a freedom of choice. Yes. So it's really, in both cases, he's still in effect.
Give him a Fisher's Guide magazine, is what you're saying.
give him that.
You can buy his own damn fishing pole.
Yeah, give him the ability to learn, so he can learn anything. If you want to be a fisherman or engineer or a teacher or anything. Whatever.
Now, there's going to be a time period between generations. It's definitely, if there's a low education amongst a 40, 50, 60-year-old adults, you're not going to have a high adaptation for most of the education you're talking about. Whereas you have
15 years.
15
it takes
years.
15 years. Yeah, it takes 15 years because we've seen it in Israel, how Israel did it, and how Israel became super educated and super successful. So at 48, Israel had people just from Auschwitz and all kinds of countries, generally uneducated. So it took 15 years to get Israel to a point where the general intelligence in the society, the general agreement was, we can do something about it.
Gotcha.
We don't
so
need
really,
aid.
For your idea would be the world rebuilding and the institutions, they really should hold off And we should start at the basics. And the people of Gaza themselves need to be part of this, but we need to create education centers. And it's going to take at least 15 years. And during that rebuilding, it'll be them that are now deciding what to rebuild. And I like that. What's funny is I think the more people you sit down and have a conversation, I think we all come to the same conclusion. However, I don't think that's what's going to happen. There's a lot of money at stake. And so, nation building is something everybody's very eager for. So chances are they're going to try to build the next Vegas.
Unfortunately, you're super right. In South Africa, after the change of the power, they give the black people houses and they build for them the most gorgeous houses and schools and churches. And it's all become rubble.
Right.
Why? Because they're not educated.
They don't know how to fish.
So they cannot have it.
Yeah.
They don't. No, you force them to become fishermen. You force them to become fishermen. You give them the fishing rod, but you didn't teach them how to learn. Even if you teach them how to fish, if they don't know how to learn, they will get stuck and they will deteriorate. You need to know how to learn because life changes all the time. And if I give you, this is how you do something, you operate with a VHS. And today we are online. If you didn't learn how to learn, you will not be able to go online and do whatever needs to be done today online because you don't know how to learn.
This has been great, Meir. Really appreciate it. Will you leave us just having this world of spirituality and where we are for both the Palestinian and Israelis, with the world around? Leave us in a final note of what you think the world can do to take on basically their own spirituality and idea and how they all come around to a physical world of peace, maybe.
Yeah. So if the world was to look at the greatest good to the greatest number of people and things is the right thing to do and not who is right and who is wrong. What is the greatest good to the greatest number of people and things? That's what's right. Not what people think that is right and wrong. If this will become the viewpoint of the world, instead of following, this is wrong and this is right and he's right and he's wrong, but actually having, let's say that he is wrong. If I would do that, will it create more pro-survival situation or less? If you will start to realize that good and bad is just a matter of numbers, how many people I help? If I invent a cure that helps 10 million people kill 2, it's good. It's good. Because in this universe, nothing is absolute. There is no 100% right and no 100% good. So there is only the greatest, the most possible survival to the biggest number of people or things. If that
the greatest or the grayest?
The greatest. The greatest.
Sometimes it's gray.
Yeah, the greatest.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when it's gray, it becomes dead.
Yeah,
when it's gray, it becomes dead.
Yeah, gray would mean gray would mean you haven't done
definite.
the accounting. Gray would mean you haven't done the maths to know what would be the right thing. So yeah.
Exactly. And
I love it, Meir. Where can people find you? Where can people find information about you?
So Instagram, Meir Ezra Official, and the website, gprosperity.com. And I have ton of material on every considerable subject, from nuclear physics to parenting to business to sales to marketing to anything.
And that's gprosperity.com for guaranteedprosperity.com.
Yeah.
That's great. Really appreciate you joining us today, Meir. It's been very
you.
insightful. You got a fascinating story, so we'll definitely
Thank
be
you.
following you in the future, and really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, beautiful talking to you. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
We'll talk to y'all later.
Matt.
It's hostile dysfunction. We'll see y'all.
Thank you. Bye.